Hey Foxes, I'm Bonnie.
And I'm Abby.
And welcome back to World News.
Black History Month is an annual celebration of achievements by African Americans and a time for recognizing their central role in the U.S. history. This month can also be known as African American History Month.
Since 1976, every U.S. president has officially designated the month of February as Black History Month. Other countries around the world, including Canada and the United Kingdom, also devote a month to celebrating Black history. This episode of World News Wednesday will be in recognition of Black History Month.
In this episode, we will have a special look at some famous African Americans throughout history, entertainment, and sports.
It's important that we take the time to celebrate this month in African American culture. The impact is widespread and should be heavily noted, as President Gerald Ford said, to honor the often neglected accomplishments of Black Americans in every area of endeavor throughout our history.
Welcome back to History with Miles and Coker.
Today we have a special episode going over the history of Black history.
Carter G. Woodson, famous historian, was the first to establish a week of celebrating Black history.
Woodson noticed there was a severe lack of information about African Americans in history textbooks. He fought to change this and established the second week of February as Black History Week.
During this week, public schools would teach Black history. It was the second week that was celebrated because it also coincided with the birthday of Frederick Douglass, a former slave turned abolitionist and civil rights leader.
It also helped celebrate Abraham Lincoln's birthday during that week. Lincoln's signing of the Emancipation Proclamation would end slavery. Woodson's idea of celebrating this time eventually gained support, and it grew into what is now known as Black History Month, and the entire month of February was dedicated instead of only the second week.
President Gerald Ford was the first to officially recognize it as a month-long celebration in 1976. This year, the theme for the month is celebrating wellness and those African Americans who are the leading pioneers in the medical field.
That's all for this week, Foxes.
Now back to the anchors.
Here to talk about some influential Black people in sports is Mac.
Hi, I'm Mac, and I'm back with Pro Sports. For Black History Month, these are some famous African American athletes who have influenced sports in the United States and the world. Muhammad Ali was a heavyweight boxer in the U.S., and he is known to be one of the most significant boxers of all time with 56 total wins. Many people do not know this, but he was also a noted poet and activist. For his significant career contributions, he is also known by his nickname, The Greatest. Jesse Owens was a track star who won 4 gold medals at the 1936 Olympics, and his performance had a large impact during World War II. He broke world records during his college days at Ohio State University, and he later went on to be awarded the Presidential Medal of Freedom for his impressive athletic career. Althea Gibson was a tennis player and golfer in America. She is known for being the first African American to win a Grand Slam title. She was also the first Black player to participate in the U.S. National Championship and in Wimbledon in the 50s. She paved the way for other great African American tennis players like Serena and Venus Williams. Jackie Robinson was the first African American baseball player in the major leagues. He started on first base for the Brooklyn Dodgers on April 15, 1947. He also was the first Black vice president of a major American corporation. In celebration of his memory and impact on the sport, the MLB has every player wear the number 42 every April 15th. In other news, the Rams won the Super Bowl against the Bengals last Sunday. It was truly a hard-fought game for both teams, and the most notable play of the game was Aaron Donald's final sack, which ensured the Rams their victory.
Burrow trying to keep it going, gets spun down, gets it away, and incomplete. It looked like P-Ron might have had a shot to make the grab, but the Rams now.
That's all for Pro Sports. Now back to the anchors.
Thanks, Mac. In 2019, the United States Civil Rights Trail was created to commemorate the fight for equality and civil rights for African Americans across the American South. The trail spans 14 states and Washington, D.C., highlighting more than 100 crucial landmarks and moments that changed the course of history in the USA. South Carolina plays a complex role in our nation's journey to freedom, and that journey is marked by a variety of commemorative sites scattered across the state.
The state of South Carolina has 8 different spots on the trail, and they can be found in the cities of Charleston, Columbia, Greenville, Greenwood, Orangeburg, Rock Hill, St. Helena Island, and Somerton. For more information on the Civil Rights Trail, you can visit civilrightstrail.com.
When recognizing and celebrating Black History Month, it's important that we recognize the African Americans who invented many useful items that help us today in our everyday lives. In 1966, Mary Van Brittan Brown invented the home security system. Mary often stayed alone while her husband was away in a neighborhood in Queens, New York, that had a high crime rate. She then invented a camera to slide into the peepholes on her door and then connected them to a monitor in her home. She later added many features that are still used on home security systems today.
Another useful item invented by Garrett Morgan was the light traffic signal. With only an elementary school education, Morgan invented the traffic light, which is still used to keep people safe and direct traffic today. The lights still mimic the original model made by Morgan.
There are also many accomplishments made by African Americans throughout the subjects we learn about in school. Here are some teachers talking about famous African Americans worth studying this month.
A Black history author that every student should know about is Maya Angelou. Maya Angelou was a poet and she was an author. In writing her poetry, she wrote about how women could feel pride in themselves and they could feel like they had something to offer society, and it wasn't a viewpoint that many people were familiar with. But as I was finding out about Maya Angelou, I found out something pretty interesting. Her name really isn't Maya Angelou. Her name's Marguerite Ann Johnson, and what she did is she was recommended to take the name Maya, and she took Angelou from one of the last names of her husband's. And she took that on the advice of people who thought that that name would bring her some kind of notoriety. So that's how Marguerite Ann Johnson became Maya Angelou. So how did Maya Angelou become such an author that everybody or most people do know about? She wrote autobiographies, and in writing so, she gave us insight into what it was like for someone to be young and Black in the South, and for someone to overcome some really, really, really difficult circumstances at a young age. Maya Angelou's poetry was so impressive that she gave a speech before President Bill Clinton was inaugurated. So that's how Maya Angelou became someone who was acknowledged and recognized on the world stage. One of my favorite pieces of poetry by Maya Angelou is a poem called Phenomenal Woman. And she writes about how she is phenomenal. And not only is she phenomenal physically, she's also phenomenal in terms of her mental state and what she has to offer the world. So if you're not familiar with the poetry of Maya Angelou, she's definitely an author you should check out. I hope you've enjoyed this month's Black History information about one of my favorite authors, Maya Angelou.
Hello, I am Miss Adams. I teach science at Hartsville High School, and the Black scientist that I want to talk about is a scientist that is from my hometown, Lake City, South Carolina. His name is Dr. Ronaldi Mcnair. He was an astronaut. He was one of the astronauts that was in the Challenger that unfortunately blew up in 1986. But just a little bit about him: when he was younger, he actually kind of stood up for civil rights. He wanted to check out a library book in the library. He was like 7 years old, and at that time Black people could not check out books, but he kind of stood his ground, and the police and his mom came and got him, and he was able to check out books. After that, he was very bright. He went to North Carolina A&T and got his undergraduate degree in physics, and then he went to MIT to get his graduate degree in physics. He did a lot of work with lasers, and right now his family still travels and speak about him. He has a lot of things named after him. He has a building at MIT named after him. He has the Main Street in Lake City is named after him. The junior high school that I went to is actually named after him, and he has so many other things named after him, a lot of schools across the nation. So Dr. Ronaldi Mcnair is my scientist, probably my favorite scientist, and one of the quotes that we always chanted when I was in middle school was "Reach for the stars," and it was based off of him. So
Thanks, guys. Back with this week's pop culture segment is Diamond.
Hey Foxes, today I'm back with a special look at pop culture, but first, I have to update you on Ye. It's something new every week with Kanye. Julia Fox just confirmed that she and Kanye broke up. I assume this is because last week Kanye publicly begged to get his family back together. Keep in mind he was with Julia, and he posted that just a couple of hours after she had an interview stating they called each other boyfriend and girlfriend. She says if you want all the tea, you'll have to buy her book when it comes out. This week we're looking at famous African Americans in the entertainment industry that have had a huge impact on the world for the better. The Oscars are coming up in March. This year, Denzel Washington and Will Smith go head-to-head, both being nominated for Best Actor. Denzel was nominated for his role in A Tragedy Macbeth. Denzel Washington extends his record of being the most nominated Black man in Oscar history this year, 10 nominations total. Will Smith was also nominated for his role in King Richard, starring as Serena and Venus Williams' father. He is probably best known for his role in The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, but he has also had a prolific singing career. Beyoncé was also nominated for the Best Original Song for Be Alive, which was featured in the movie King Richard. This will be her first Oscar nomination. The Queen has also acted in multiple movies and continues to stun with her impressive musical skills. Tyler Perry is also a notable African American to bring up when talking about the entertainment industry. Over the years, he's won many awards for his outstanding performance and excellent skill. These awards include the NAACP Image Award for Outstanding Directing in a Motion Picture, BET Ultimate Icon, and Black Movie Award for Outstanding Achievement in Screenwriting, just to name a few. On that topic, Oprah Winfrey is also someone of multiple accomplishments. She has been awarded the Presidential Medal of Freedom by former President Barack Obama, as well as an honorary doctorate degree from Harvard. She has been ranked the richest African American of the 20th century, the greatest Black philanthropist in American history, and is one of the few Black billionaires in North America. There are so many other notable African Americans who have added to the entertainment industry. These are only a select few of those who have been notable in recent years. There are so many more from the past we have to thank for their amazing contribution. Happy African American History Month, everyone. Back to Bonnie and Abby.
Thanks, Diamond.
An important woman during the Civil Rights Movement was Rosa Parks. During segregation, she refused to move to the back of the bus where African Americans were supposed to sit. This triggered a 381-day boycott and eventually ended the segregation of public transportation in Montgomery.
Another important civil rights activist was Thurgood Marshall. He grew up during segregation and fought Jim Crow laws by using the court. He graduated first in his class in law school after many years of discrimination from his skin color. He soon worked on many cases as a lawyer and fought to desegregate. He became one of the nation's lead attorneys and fought 32 cases in court, winning 29. His Brown versus Board of Education case helped end segregation in schools.
A more recent activist and famous athlete known for his impact on the African Americans community is Kobe Bryant. Bryant was drafted into the NBA right after high school, and in addition to being a noted athlete, he also wrote a poem called Dear Basketball that was turned into a short film that won an Oscar. He and his wife fought tirelessly and created a foundation to help alleviate the homeless population in Los Angeles. Bryant was an impactful inspiration to many in his short lifetime.
Another noted athlete known for her impact on the African American community in the sports world is Serena Williams. Williams is the #1 player in the world, hailing from Compton, California, and she has proven she can continue to be a dominating athlete and an excellent mother.
From the civil rights era to the modern-day athletes, there are several notable African Americans in our history to admire. HHS students have had the opportunity to help clean up a colored cemetery. Here are some pictures of the students and their hard work.
We are thankful to celebrate these achievements this month and every day. That's all we have for you today, Foxes.
Stay informed.